Hello and welcome to Disc Review, the podcast that goes track by track through a different album each week.
And we're your hosts, Max and Matt. Join us as we explore some of our favorite records.
No, I'm a fan, I swear.
I feel like I've become a music normie.
I'm tired of being Mr. Positive Guy.
Dude, that's not human.
This is certifiably the most boring album I've ever heard.
And there's a reason they don't do it, because it's terrible.
We hope you enjoy the show. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, welcome back to Disc Review. We're so happy to be coming at you with another review. It's been a few weeks. We are some busy guys, bro. Hit us up. We won't get back to you because we're that busy, but we wanted to come back and review something that I've been talking about. I've kind of talked about this in passing for a long time now.
I've been aware of this. The name is familiar.
Yeah, I mentioned this album on our top 10 favorite albums list or whatever we called it. But yeah, this is like one of my favorite albums. I like it a lot, which is strange because it's very different from what I usually listen to. But this is an album called Nicotine by Trevor Daniel. Trevor Daniel is this kind of poppy, trappy guy. He wrote this, I think it came out in 2020. Right when TikTok was like hitting its like peak. I guess it's still peaking. It's like never stopped peaking. But right when TikTok really started becoming like the thing everyone was using, one of his songs blew up on TikTok. And so that's how he got popular. Although I don't think since then he's seen as much success as he did back then. I think
TikTok
he kind of
fame
like
is
blew
fleeting.
up and then... Yeah, it is fleeting. And it kind of sucks because I think he still makes really good stuff today. But yeah, he wrote this album, the song called Falling, which we'll talk about later, blew up on TikTok. And since then, he signed to a big record label. And from what I heard, what he was saying on Instagram, because I follow him, he was like saying that he has a bunch of stuff written that he wants to put out into the world, but his record label is like holding him back and is like putting off his release dates. And so he like didn't release music for a really long time, but he's starting to release music now, and I really like the new stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, what did you think about this, your first time listening to it?
Well, it's got a very specific style. You kind of mentioned it, a lot of trap drums.
Yeah.
Kind of vibey guitar in the background, and he's just laying down a bunch of lyrics. Yeah, I think this is an artist and an album you can kind of just like dive into the feels and get lost in the lyrics. The style is like very familiar, like Black Bear. I wasn't surprised when I saw they had collabed because it just sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you brought him up
similar
when we did a review of his. So, it's like it makes sense. That you like this stuff too. It's really similar.
All right. Well, let's dive in here and talk about this album, Nicotine. First of all, I think the album art is incredible. Some of the best I've ever seen. Maybe it's just like my specific taste, but I really like how colorful it is. I like that it's not a drawing. I feel like a lot of times we just see drawings, and I'm kind of bored of that. I like the picture style. And what do you think about this?
Yeah, I like it. It's got a lot going on. I like album art that feels like it had a lot of effort put into it. It's clear they had a vision for what it was going to be, and they went well out of their way. I mean, that was a lot of work probably to put that all together. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that must have taken a full day to get that.
Like, you can just tell they threw it together in 5 minutes. It's like, oh, this ain't it. So I see the vision. It's good.
Yeah, for those not looking at it, he's laying on a bed and there's like flowers everywhere, very colorful flowers, like lots of different kinds. Probably a lot of money went into buying all those flowers, which I couldn't even imagine. But I guess when you're a big pop star, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the first song is called Nicotine. It's the title track, same as the album. I think as a title track, it does a really good job of laying out the sound for the whole record. A lot of these songs have some pretty foundational differences in the instrumentals, but his voice, man, is just that consistency. It's so good throughout the whole thing. I'd say that even though we're only one song in to the record, this is like one of my favorites on the album. It's not as emotional as some of the other songs, but it's definitely catchy and really fun. It's got a bouncy rhythm that can, kind of get you hyped up to listen to the rest of it.
Yeah, this song sitting at one of the weaker stream counts was surprising me because I agree this is one of the best. It's probably it might be the catchiest, I'd say. Like there's some really catchy lines.
Dude.
And right, it's a great intro to the style. I really like the production on this. The entire thing is really well made, and you brought up the vocals. There's not a weak track vocally. He's always killing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty impressive start. My only question is, do you feel like he pronounces nicotine a little weird?
Yeah, nicotine.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, whoa, this is kind of weird.
Yeah, he did pronounce that kind of weird, and he says it a lot.
Yeah, so it's noticeable.
So yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the thing about his voice too is like it's not like flowery or like the best voice I've ever heard, but it's just kind of unique. Like it's fun to listen to because it's just a little different, and he's got a good style to him. So the next song is Lovesick. Obviously, the standout for this song is that bass line. Super simple, but very interesting to listen to, and it just drives the song so hard. This album also has a lot of trap beats, like you mentioned, and probably the reason I got into trap beats for so long. You know, I've kind of cooled the jets a little bit on the trap beats, but I still think they're really cool, and I think they should be used in more styles of music.
Yeah, they've got their place, and I think you're right. It's fun when it's thrown into something that's not usually trap music or similar to this. This is the track that I was like, this sounds like Black Bear. Like this was the one that really set in for me. You're right, the bass is pretty good.
Yeah, speaking of Black Bear, I don't know if I've mentioned this on other episodes, but I was listening to a song that Black Bear put out. Like I wouldn't say it's recent, but it's like, you know, it happened. He put it out after we did our review on one of his albums. So it was like a collab with somebody, and that dude, I guess he can do whatever he wants, but he reused a flow, and I just don't know how to feel about that because it was the same exact flow as one of the songs that we reviewed on his album. So I was like, wow, that was like cut whole cloth out of that other song. I don't know how you can get away with that, but I guess you can.
I don't know how to feel about that. That's kind of a, you know, he wrote
it wasn't
once,
like they were similar.
Yeah,
it was like, yeah, I guess he owns it. Yeah, they weren't just similar. It was the exact same thing.
That's
but
funny. It's a callback.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, the next song is Anymore. This is the edgy song in the album because it says the F word. I think that even though the edginess can get a little goofy at times, it's still a vibe, and it's a good song to turn on when you're feeling alone or like angry. The chorus just gets stuck in my head a lot because it's super catchy. Just like every song on this record is very catchy in the chorus. So
yeah, I think this is the best chorus on the album. So
it's great.
For that reason, it's a standout for me, just pure catchiness. So a pretty good start to the record with 3 tracks in. Not really a dud.
Yeah, although the use of the word anymore in the chorus, I'm not sure if it's grammatically correct in the second part of the chorus.
Let's read the line.
So he says, oh yeah, okay, so I've been having problems giving an F anymore. That's fine. But the next line, I've been having problems feeling love anymore. I just don't know if that makes sense grammatically. Am I bugging out here? Like what's wrong with it?
I've been having problems feeling love.
Do you know what I mean? Or are you not getting what I'm saying?
I mean, it's following it doesn't feel right, but it's using the same structure as the other line.
I mean, it sounds good. It's just when I thought about it too much, it like sounded wrong all of a sudden. But maybe that's just me. I am not the source to go to on grammar. I do my best, but it just, that sounded a little weird to me.
No, I get it. That is kind of weird.
The next song is The Things We Do for Love. I'd say that this song is pretty standout on the album just because it's really wholesome. Like some of the other songs are, positive as well, but not always as uplifting. I think this album talks a lot about relationships and love, which has its ups and downs, but this song really captures the essence of like true love and how we change and grow and become something new when we truly love somebody. I mean, and it's like kind of sad too. Like parts of it sound like it's a breakup song as well, but I don't know, just the way he talks about like, the things we do for love, the the way he feels like he's almost going crazy, like he's acting weird and different for this girl, but he feels good about it. And so I really like this one. Maybe not as, other than the chorus, not as a catchy of a song, but it's still really good.
Yeah, I really liked how they switched out the trap drums for this one. Just gives it a different feel, a little bit of change of pace. This is definitely one of the better tracks.
Then we have All of That. This song is a great example of this album being TikTok music. Like the language is just so Gen Z, and we're technically Gen Z. Like I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing. We're like kind of on the cusp of the divide of Gen Z and millennials, but sometimes I feel like I can't relate as well to the way they talk. Like the way he's just singing about how they're vibing, like it's just kind of funny to me, but I like it.
Yeah, this one, I mean, similarly catchy. I think like one thing I have with this record is like it doesn't really change the style very much. Like you said, it's again kind of TikTok-y in nature and similar sounding. But I still don't really have any problems right now because it's still pretty catchy.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I mean, I really dived deep into this album, which is why I love it so much. But I could see first time listening being like, man, these songs are good, they're catchy, but they're not that different from each other. And like a lot of it feels similar. Like I do kind of get some of them mixed up from time to time. And so that's not...
yeah, it's mostly the middle section. I don't know if that... I feel like...
Yeah, I don't know if that can ever be avoided, though. Like, I've really been thinking about this more because sometimes I'll be listening to an album that I love, and I'm like, man, I can't even really tell some of these songs apart. So, like, I don't know what makes a good album. Like, is it sometimes just the feeling, and, like, the songs can all kind of be the same, but you just feel good while you listen? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's really hard to say because one of my favorite records, Mama's Boy, we've talked about it on the channel. It like you could make that argument. I could definitely see someone first listening and make the argument like, oh, the songs sound the same. But I'm like, to me, like every song is so stand out. And I don't want to say it's just because it's catchy. I definitely think there's more to it because an album should feel cohesive. Its sound should feel like it flows into each other and they're related, but it shouldn't sound the same. I mean, there's albums that are way worse than this one. Definitely in other genres. We've talked about it and we will again. But yeah, I don't know how to quantify what's the difference. How do you make it sound similar but not exactly the same? I don't think we'll get to the bottom of that ever, but it's definitely something we should keep investigating with each record we go through.
Yeah, I definitely, we both love Mama's Boy. That's a great album. I feel very similarly for this album. Like they both hold a similar place in my heart. And yeah, I think that like as far as other genres go, I think that like punk and like pop punk and hardcore, those ones are like sometimes it's real difficult to figure out the difference between the songs. But yeah, I mean, enough of us hating on punk because we like punk too. The next song is OMG. Is another song with a super fire bass line. I just love it. His flows in the verse are kind of chaotic, and I don't even really know how you come up with those types of patterns, but it sounds cool even though it's a little bit all over the place. The chorus is perfectly catchy as usual for this guy. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying that for all the songs because
that's the strength of the record is just the catchiness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have too many strong opinions on this one. I think it's similar around here where I don't have as strong opinions. I think the start's really strong and then we're gonna get towards the end. But again, just the production is so solid throughout. That's really what I'm impressed by.
Well, the next song is Disaster. Definitely another one of my favorites here. An acoustic song and has some of the best lyrics on the record. He doesn't go super deep on any of these songs, like lyrically, but definitely he's still clever with his words, and the song just flows so perfectly. It's like sad, but chill and cool all at the same time. I like the darker tone of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah, I think I really like the change in instrumentation. Like you said, some more acoustic guitar in here. It's brought back a little bit more in some other songs as well. I think this one might be like one of the least catchy for me. So on first listen, it doesn't stand out as much. But I do agree. I like the tone. I like that change.
Yeah, well, he's singing the chorus really fast, right? It's got a lot of words in there, and I feel like that kind of cuts down the catchiness because, you know, it's... You can hear what he's saying, but it's a little harder to pick it out. And So, there's ups and downs with that. But the next song is 911. This song isn't my favorite on the album, but it's so catchy that I find myself singing it all the time. My wife gets mad at me when I sing this song because the lyrics are like, she's just a friend with a bonus, little extra something on the side. And she's like, I'm not your friend with a bonus. So, another question I had about this song, though, is like, do you think songs like this just don't land very well in the UK? Because, like, don't they have a different number for emergency? Don't they have a different emergency number? So I feel like...
Yeah, I think it's only America.
So I don't know their emergency number. I would feel like if a pop artist came out with a song that was like 456, and that was like, I don't know what that means. So maybe it's a little more universally known than I think. But
I agree. This one's pretty similarly catchy. But again, this kind of piggybacks off of like Right Here. I was like, could definitely use a change of pace or change in style a little bit.
Sure,
The one style it's got is really good. It just sticks to it a little too much, especially because tracks, their album's only 25 minutes. It's really, really short. I feel like I shouldn't feel that way right here. But luckily, I think the next two tracks bring something interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these next two are just straight up bangers. Definitely some more favorites of mine here. The next song is Past Life. This is probably the deepest song on the record. At least it's the only one that really goes like into an introspective place. It's about like change and becoming a new person, so much so that you consider the old you like a different person. And it's still fun and catchy, but definitely carries a little more of the emotion than some of the others. And he actually did another version of this song with Selena Gomez. So I probably like the regular version better, but still a cool thing that he was able to do. But yeah, this is definitely a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I think this and the first track are my favorites. I really liked the emotion. I liked the guitar. It was catchy, but also right. I just really think the lyrics I connected with more than any of them on just a first listen basis. Like I was just more clear on what the message was and how to feel about it. This was the song that the record desperately needed. I think like maybe move it up a little bit, like so I get I don't know, just mixed up a little earlier. Just seeing it at the end, I feel like it is a really great track.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, and albums like this can be difficult for guys like you and me because I mean we're both we're not really in the chasing girls era of our lives right now. We're like both in committed, happy relationships. So it's like they're still fun, but it's like don't relate quite as much. But this one is definitely relatable, and anyone can dive in and feel something here. Mm-hmm. The last song is Falling, and this is the song that got him popular. It, like I said before, it blew up on TikTok, and is still his biggest song to this day. He was able to make another version of it featuring Black Bear, which is cool. He said he wrote this song about a girl he dated in 9th grade, which I barely remember 9th grade, so I don't know how he's able to do that. But imagine writing a hit song about a girl you liked when you were 16.
You'll sing about it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had no context going into this, so seeing the stream count kind of really caught me off guard. This might be one of the worst, just more most dramatic stream disparities I've ever seen. This is 1.5 billion streams compared to, I mean, the lowest on here is just under 2 mil. So huge difference. This is just the testament to the power of TikTok, but also how it works. It doesn't really extend to artist loyalty. It's not really it's
so
just
weird.
I just like this 30 second snippet of this song. Let me listen to that to get that feeling of it, and then just keep that on loop. So I mean,
zero fan loyalty.
1.5 billion streams. That's good. You're probably making a ton of money off that. That's still really good as an artist. I'm just saying it's crazy to see that in action because it's not usually like this. Before TikTok, I feel like has really changed things. So I'm just surprised. I think the song is good. I'm just I'm surprised this one took off. I don't even know what part of the song is a TikTok-y. I don't really even know what is it. Is there a snippet of it, or is it just the vibe?
The interesting thing about TikTok is like you only need like 5 to 15 seconds of good material for it to blow up. You know what I mean? Like if he had one good part, that was enough, and that's all he needed. Which is insane and kind of scary, but kind of cool. I don't know. It's like all those things wrapped into one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to change music more going forward, as if music hasn't been changing enough.
So we'll just kind of, I guess, see how that develops.
Yep. But at least with all the change, we know there's one constant, and that's that any music made by you or I will never blow up.
Unless you got 5 really good seconds.
Yeah.
That can be used in a comedic manner.
That is exactly true. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about our final thoughts here. I do want to mention that to prepare for this episode, I watched one interview with Trevor, and I don't know if he was, maybe he's a really shy guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't put this against him. I'm saying it more because it's funny, not because I dislike the guy, but he was the most boring person I've ever watched do an interview. Like the lady was like, so what was it like to see yourself on the TV for the first time? And he goes, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's all you have to say, bro? And she's like, what about working with Selena? Like, was that a huge highlight? And he's like, yeah, man, Selena was dope. That was it, bro. And it was funny interview.
Then it takes a lot of work.
I guess,
I'm not
maybe
saying
it's not his thing.
It's work, but that's funny.
No, I mean everyone has their strengths. I mean his strength is obviously singing, not talking to someone. But that's fine. Final thoughts though. I obviously love this record a lot. It's in my top 10. And I just something about the style of it I really connect with. Mm-hmm. I really love his other work that he's done. He has an EP that came out after this that was just equally as good. I listened to that just as much. So, he's just a solid artist, which I think due to the way TikTok works, he had his 5 minutes of fame and now is kind of struggling to get back up there. And so I think he deserves more love because he is really good.
Yeah, I feel like... Well, I think it's just kind of like changed the perspective. I feel like he's probably doing okay. I mean, he's got 7 million monthly listeners. Still getting streams on his songs. Like he's doing good. It's just like once you get that many streams on one song, maybe you expect more, or maybe you're expected to do more. It's just not really realistic. That is an insane amount of streams. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, and it's also like 7 million people is a ton of people, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, like I never hear people talking about him. Like
no, he's
no
not
one
a
knows
household name.
Who he is.
I wasn't familiar with him. I don't think I know. I doubt anyone I know would be familiar. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird space to be in music. It's success, but also you got to keep building your fan base. It definitely depends where you're trying to go. Can all be number one, but. I'm sure he's doing okay.
That's true. Yeah, and and he, not everyone wants to be number one at the same time, but yeah. So go listen to Nicotine by Trevor Daniel. Check out his newer stuff too. He's actually releasing singles for a new album right now, and I haven't checked them out because I decided I don't really like listening to singles before the album comes out. I think it's kind of like watching the trailer to a movie. It kind of ruins some of it. So I'm giving it a try and like seeing how I like listening to an album without
the singles.
A good idea. Have you ever tried that?
I haven't really tried that unless I literally missed it, which I've definitely done because Spotify does not recommend stuff very well. So if I'm not like avidly checking release radar, one of my favorite artists will just have a new song out and I just won't know because I'm not like following everybody on socials because that's crazy. That's like way too many to keep up with. Anyways, but I've tried to do that with movies. Not really achievable when they play all the trailers before a movie. So sometimes
that's tough.
It happens. But I think it's a better experience. I agree. We get too much marketing spoils, experiences when we should just have the experience itself and just wait. What's the rush?
Well, especially with the increase from like usually, before 3 singles was like the standard before you release an album.
Dropping 4 or 5.
Yeah,
one
dropping
at a
like
time.
half the album as singles, and it's like I don't want to ruin.
Single, like it's more like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird, but I guess it works.
Yeah, I just don't want the experience to be ruined. And maybe it's, maybe it won't work. Maybe I'll listen to the album and be like, this is kind of lame. But, we'll see. I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll report on it later.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to another episode of Disc Review. We are grateful that we're able to do this with you guys, and we'll try to get another episode out soon. Thank you.